Welcome to District Dialogues. My name is Marvin Arrington Jr., Fulton County Commissioner for District 5. District 5 includes parts of the city of South Fulton, Southwest and Southeast Atlanta, East Point, Union City, and College Park. Some of the great landmarks in District 5 include Zoo Atlanta, Fort McPherson, which is now home to Tyler Perry Studio, the Porsche headquarters, the Camp Creek Marketplace, and my favorite, the Wolf Creek Amphitheater. During this show, we hope to share information about organizations, initiatives, and resources in District 5 and for areas that I champion in Fulton County. So let's get to it. I am proud to serve as executive sponsor for safety in Fulton County and a member of the Justice and Public Safety Committee for the National Association of Counties, also known as NACO. In our Justice and Public Safety segment, we like to share information from partners that provide resources and information about justice and public safety. Today, please meet Wanda Mosley, the founder of My Vote Matters, Georgia. Welcome to the show, Ms. Mosley.
Thank you for having me, Commissioner Arrington.
So what is the mission of My Vote Matters?
So the mission for My Vote Matters is to increase political awareness and voter turnout in communities in South Fulton.
All right. And what motivated you to start this organization?
So the motivation to start this organization came about in the spring in the city of South Fulton when we had our initial elections for our first mayor and city council. This was an exciting time for me as someone who advocates for voting rights and civic engagement. However, I noticed that the turnout for these elections was abysmal. It was so low that it made me sad. Right. And so I took this to mean that there were a lot of people who didn't understand the process of becoming a city, folks who didn't understand what the next step was after we won cityhood. And so myself and some other folks that I met during the time when we were working to become a city decided that we needed to step up and do something to help educate folks in our community. I also am a voting rights advocate. I think that part of the problem also with that low turnout may have been because the whole process of becoming a registered voter and voting is a little bit difficult in Georgia unnecessarily. And so we hope to sort of pull back the curtain on that and help the whole process be a little bit easier for people. So
what got you started in voting rights advocacy?
So the start in voting rights advocacy would probably go back to my childhood. My sister and I were raised by our great-grandmother, and she worked at the polling precinct, which was also the elementary school that we attended for a couple of decades. And so in our household, voting was an obligation, but it was also a very sacred right. I have a connection to the generation of people who made the ultimate sacrifice in terms of sacrificing their lives, putting their very beings in existence on the line so that I would have the right to vote. And so that's always been something that's near and dear to me, something that is in the back of my mind. And I feel like every time I go to the polls and I vote, I think about my great-grandmother and all the people who came before me.
So what type of activities, I assume you all do voter registration drives, or what other activities do you do?
So we do help out with voter registration at any type of event that we see. For example, when I get newsletters from elected officials and I see that there are events coming up, oftentimes contact them and ask if would they like for someone to come out to help with voter registration. We also see ourselves doing some types of work to, like I said, educate people in terms of the whole political process, try to help them understand how government works, especially with us in South Fulton being a new city. I think that there are a lot of people who really don't understand the process of having a mayor and city council. For so long, the entire time that I've been a homeowner in South Fulton, all of our municipal services were provided by the county. And now that we have city council and mayor, I'd like to make sure that everyone understands the process and the correct people to go to if there's an issue and they want to see some changes happening in the community.
I know you said you're targeting South Fulton. Basically, is it just the city of South Fulton, or is it, does that include Southwest Atlanta, Southeast Atlanta?
That would include any area where I happen to be and I see or hear someone who has a question about voting and about voting rights. And I say we target South Fulton because that's where I live. So obviously I'm working to better my immediate community. That's where I own a home. But really, one day I would love to see this organization grow to be a statewide organization. But right now we are focusing on communities in South Fulton. We'll say south of I-20. How about that?
So, no, that sounds good. But let me ask you this. How do you need volunteers to help?
Absolutely. I'm a nonprofit, a 501c3. I started this organization out of my home. So I absolutely need other people to come on board who feel passionate about civic engagement and about voting and about voting rights. So if there are individuals out there who want to help, I would love to have you come on board and volunteer with us.
And what role would the volunteers play? What would you have? What would be their responsibilities?
So we would do a lot of work with voter registration. As I mentioned before, when we see that there are events in our community, we are happy to come out and help with voter registration, explain the process, make sure people have all the tools and they're empowered to make an informed choice when they go out to vote.
And I see you got your hashtag there. Pound My Vote Matters GA. Where can people go to find out more information about My Vote Matters Georgia?
So yeah, My Vote Matters GA is our Twitter handle. It's also what we use for Instagram. It's also where we can be found on Facebook, facebook.com/MyVoteMattersGA. And then if you want to reach me via email, myvotemattersga@gmail.com.
All right, sounds good. Sounds like you got it all covered.
We try, we do our best.
Well, we thank you so much for your work in the community and all that you do to help bring awareness and education to voting rights and advocacy on behalf of voters. So we thank you for your service.
It's my pleasure. It's really a passion of mine, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak with you today.
Thank you. We'll be back in a moment with our D5 Community Spotlight. In our D5 Community Spotlight, we give recognition to organizations and individuals who are striving to empower our communities. Our next guest is Tokiwa Smith, CEO and Principal Consultant of Kemet Educational LLC. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, if you will, please tell us about Kemet Educational Services.
What Kemet Educational Services is an organization that supports organizations as well as parents that are interested in preparing pre-college and undergraduate students to pursue STEM careers.
All right. And what was your impetus for starting Kemet Educational Services?
I have a background in chemical engineering and had been doing work in STEM education, direct support to students. And I noticed that parents and organizations needed support in order to provide that service to students, as well as parents navigating their child's STEM educational experience.
And so what made you want to call it Kemet Educational Services? Where did you get the name from?
Actually, I have a mentor of mine that taught me about the ancient roots of math and STEM, and a lot of those principles and things we use today started in Kemet, which is ancient Egypt. And so I decided to name it Kemet in order to have that connection with the foundations of math and science, but also say like math and science are the foundations, and having a strong foundation in math and science are important for students no matter what career path they choose.
That sounds really great. Tell us more, if you will, about the STEM Port program for parents.
The STEM Port program is one of our most important programs to me because a lot of parents need to navigate how they're going to manage their child's STEM education, whether it is their academic achievement and just making sure they excel, or just a child that is interested in STEM and knowing what activities to get my child in. And so that program provides that support through online coaching, book, online courses, and workshops.
Well, certainly takes a village, and without the parents' involvement, I know it is a lot more difficult.
Yes.
Tell us about the Cupcakes and Conversations workshop series that you're hosting.
I wanted to build a sense of community. Like you said, it really takes a village to raise a child. And so we wanted to have the Cupcakes and Convos to kind of twofold, provide parents with strategies on different topics because it's a quarterly workshop, but also provide a space where they can meet other parents and talk to other parents and have dialogue, and maybe meet somebody that if your kids, both of your kids want to have robotics, maybe you can carpool, because we know parents are dragged in various places, and to have that additional support.
Right.
And also have friends that wanted to for the children, because sometimes if you like science and you're in certain environments, you as a child don't have that same child near you, and so you can have that sense of camaraderie and create that bond.
Awesome. Why is it important for children to academically achieve in STEM?
There are a couple of things. No matter what career path you choose, being academically sound in STEM not only gives you content to produce, go wherever you want to, but it does skills like transferable skills like critical thinking, problem solving, that children can use no matter what career path they choose.
How can parents and members of the community find out more about Kemet Educational?
We have our website, KemetEducation.com. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Kemet Education, and Facebook as well. And you can email us at info@KemetEducation.com.
Did you bring some cupcakes with you today?
No cupcakes. You have to go to Cupcakery and come out to our Cupcakes and Convos workshop, as well as stop by Cupcakery anytime. They're right across the street from East Point MARTA station.
All right. Mr. Kiwa Smith, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for all that you're doing for our youth and our children. The STEM training is so important right now, and we're just grateful to have people like you working in our community.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. We'll be back after this short break. In addition to being executive sponsor of safety in Fulton County, I also serve as executive sponsor of arts and culture. Additionally, I serve as the vice chair for the Atlanta-Fulton County Recreation Authority and a member of the Arts Commission for the National Association of Counties, or NACO. As such, I like to share with you arts and culture organizations and programs that are in Fulton County. Today, please meet Mr. Waverly Lucas, co-founding director of the Bal-Ethnic Dance Company. Welcome to the show, Mr. Lucas.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So if you will, please tell us about the history of the Bal-Ethnic Dance Company.
Okay, well, Bal-Ethnic Dance Company was formed by myself and my wife, Nina Gilreath, 27 years ago. January 15th, it'll be our 28th season that we'll be starting. And we started, of course, after we left the Atlanta Ballet. My wife and I came here from the Dance Theater of Harlem in New York and joined the Atlanta Ballet for a season. And then we did a national tour called Heartstring, which pretty much, it really raised money for people suffering from AIDS. And when we did that tour, we were really inspired to do more as far as community, as far as taking our talent, using it in a way to really make a difference and make an impact. And so this is how we got started with Bal-Ethnic Dance Company. I think it was a calling. And so we went to Spelman College and contacted Moselle Spriggs, and she was our advisor and has been our advisor, and she pretty much led us the way.
Awesome. If you will, tell us about the Urban Nutcracker and what motivated you to start the Urban Nutcracker.
Well, originally I'm from Detroit, Michigan. And when I came to Atlanta, I was just really blown away when I did research on the history of Sweet Auburn Avenue. And I realized that this was one of the wealthiest streets in America, not African-American streets. in America in the 1940s. And I thought this is something more people need to know. Our young children need to know this. They need to know how everything affects what we're doing economically and so forth. Our ability to work collectively, it matters. That shows what can happen when we work collectively in the 1940s in the South. Right. And so this inspired me. And so what I did was I went and I interviewed different people. Father Boughton, from the first black Episcopal priest of the Episcopal Church, and this is where I got the character Professor Isaac from, because this man was so eloquent, and I was excited by this because he put me in touch with some people from Yates and Milton drugstores family, and they gave me more information, even information that was not in the original information that I received. Okay. So what I did was I took that information and I asked for a tidbit. Give me something that no one would know, and but that was there. Right. And they said, you have to put in there the pound cake from the New Moon Bakery. So when you see the ballet, you'll hear Big Mama, who is our narrator. Okay. She'll mention the pound cake from the New Moon Bakery.
All right. And it sounds like some good pound cake. How can people be a part? How can they find out more about the Battle Ethnic Dance Company and the Urban Nutcracker?
Go to www.ballethnic.org. And right there, you go through there, and we will definitely get back in touch with you. Go through our Facebook page, Battle Ethnic on Facebook. It's Battle Ethnic Dance Company Inc. on Facebook.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I see this year you're returning to Morehouse. This is King Chapel for the production of the Urban Nutcracker. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. And that is like really special for us, because this is the anniversary of a special performance we did there. It's the 25th anniversary from when we first premiered Act 2 of Urban Nutcracker and Act 2 of our African ballet, The Leopard Tale, there at King Chapel. And so to return 25 years later, it's really glorious for us. And I think it's something that, in the spirit of Sweet Auburn Avenue, as far as us collaborating and working together to really build something phenomenal.
Well, we thank you for all your work. Are there any upcoming events or fundraisers that you're having planned around the Urban Nutcracker?
Right now, everything we're doing is about Urban Nutcracker. And like I said, because this is major, we have a lot of seats there that are available, and we want the community to come out and support this production. Our whole initiative is we want almost every child in Atlanta to see this production, because we feel it's that important, because it's about more than just having fun. Yes. It's about humanity, it's about history, and it's about humor also, because with that humor, it allows you to cope. And this is what we want people to get from it. Yes. And we're very thankful because we've had some great sponsors, Fulton County Arts Council for certain, WSB TV, their Family to Family, as well as Georgia Certified Development Corporation. And then just recently, which a lot of the school children from Atlanta will benefit from, is the Chestnut Family Foundation stepped up and really took over one of the shows for us. We still have one more that we need a sponsor to cover, but the Chestnut Family Foundation stepped up and covered one of them.
Well, you guys are doing great work over there. Now, I understand for your upcoming season is titled From Gift to Grace?
From Grit to Grace. From Grit to Grace.
Okay.
And that's very important, because this is one of the things that I feel sometimes our young people forget. And one of the things that, for me, the whole idea of grit is coming back from my injury after 2.5 years being shut down, and then having to just come back, get in the studio, dance, perform, work, and then get in the garden and work, our community garden. That's part of our grit, because it starts from the ground. If you can't get down and dirty, you can't rise above it. And, so we want them to understand the totality of the human spirit. And that's what it is, from grit to grace.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Now, As you're moving towards your 30th anniversary, what are you looking forward to doing in the next 30 years? What is Bioethnic looking toward doing if you're looking 30 years out?
Right now, what we're doing is we're trying to really build a legacy so that the next generation has 30 plus years of Bioethnic. And so we're really we're bringing back a lot of our alumni. Today, one of my young men who got back from China, he taught company class. Our collaborations with the Dance Theater of Harlem. We have two guest artists, fabulous guest artists from the Dance Theater of Harlem coming collaborating with us. So that's big, really reestablishing the connection with them. So that's what it's about, the whole spirit of Sweet Auburn Avenue and working collectively to really overcome obstacles and to rise and to survive and to go from grit to grace.
Amen.
All right.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Lucas. It's really been a pleasure having you here with us today. Where can people find out more information about Bioethnic?
Okay, you can go several ways. You can go to our website, www.bioethnic.org. You can call the studio, 404-762-1416. Or, like I said, you can check out our Facebook page, at Facebook, Bioethnic Dance Company, Inc. on Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all that you do. We appreciate your service to the community. And certainly the productions that you all are producing are well worth seeing, and we invite everyone to come out and see them.
All right. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
All right.
Please stay with us. We'll be back. As we close out today's show, we would like to receive words of inspiration and motivation from Reverend Timothy Fleming Sr. of Mount Carmel Baptist Church.
Hello, my friend. I'm Pastor Timothy Fleming, the pastor of Mount Carmel Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for tuning in today. I just want to say a word to all of us out here in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. We all must vote. You know, I watched a movie some time ago about Bloody Sunday. And when I saw that movie, I saw the movie where a young man in the movie name was Willie, and he was shot because he was being very active, involved in the civil rights movement. He was shot, and then there was a question came out, who killed Willie? Who killed Willie? You know my answer to that? Every person that will not vote killed Willie. When you have the power to vote, there's a re-election about to take place, a runoff. And I'm saying to all citizens here in Atlanta, Georgia, and other counties around, please vote. You may not have an army. You may not have airplanes. You may not have tanks, but there's power in your finger when you vote. I'm encouraging everybody in this re-election, this runoff, get out and vote. Many times a lot of us will stay home and we won't go back. But that's where we mess up here in Atlanta. If you want to see change in our city, if you want to see change in Fulton County, we have a great mayor. I'm asking you to come together. Churches and pastors must work together. We all are connected. If my finger hurt, my body hurt. If my toe hurt, my body hurt. I cannot say to my toe and say to my finger, I don't need you. All of us are connected. If we all come together, we will accomplish great things right here in Fulton County. God bless you, my friend. Remember, get out and vote because your vote has power.
Thank you, Reverend Fleming. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to invite you to stay connected with our office. You can reach my office by phone, email, website, and through social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching District Dialogues. We'll see you next time.